Yeah?
Yeah.
We haven't set up close to an ant's nest again.
Well, they're just everywhere, aren't they? I don't think we're on an ant's nest today.
No.
I think we're okay.
Okay. Got one of your massive ants here. So yeah, if you've seen the last video, then you will have seen that we have basically placed a deposit or basically started the process of buying a house in the village nearby, and this trip was to basically come and sign the deed, pick up the keys and get the house set up so that it can actually be lived in, can be usable, because obviously you still need to set up electricity account, water account, and you probably need bits and pieces, but we'll get onto that later. So yeah, in this video we'll just cover that a little bit, and we'll give you a bit of a rundown probably of what we got up to over the last week or so. I'm not sure, it may run over 2 videos, but we'll see how we get on. Right, so the first thing we're going to cover is paying for the house. So I suppose this video, especially the beginning of it, is going to be quite useful for you if you're looking to buy an actual house, not necessarily off-grid property, but a house in the village. I imagine it's going to be very similar if it's Porto, Lisbon, or somewhere a bit bigger than, you know, a village like around here. Because I imagine the process is very similar. So the first thing is you need means of paying for the purchase. Obviously, you need to pay the balance. Obviously, you will have paid the deposit initially, but then you need to pay the remaining balance on the property. And I suppose the first thing to note here is that depending on the estate agent, you may have to pay either the remaining balance after the deposit, or, as I've seen it happen once before, is you will have to actually pay the full balance for the property and the deposit will be refunded to you, which is a bit of a pain because it means that you need to have the money for the house or for the property plus the deposit. But in this case, in the case of our house that we just signed the deed for, that we bought in the village, we just had to pay the balance. And when we bought the farm here, which is where we're recording this now, we had to pay that again. It was the balance. But like I said, the thing about paying is you have to make sure and check with I would say this is more with the estate agent rather than your solicitor, whether the payment on the day when you go to sign the deed will be for the remaining balance, or whether that will be for the full value of what you agreed to pay for the property.
And also it's worth noting, because it's a little bit different to what we're used to, where we come from in the UK. When you find a property you like and you say, yes, I want this one please, that is when you pay the deposit there and then on the day that you secure the house. So that's a little bit unusual for us and we're not really used to that. So just know, when you choose your house or your land, you're going to need to pay your deposit straight away to reserve it.
Yeah, otherwise it's not reserved and it's still on the market and somebody can still come and buy it. So in terms of paying, we already have a Portuguese bank account, which we didn't have one when we bought the farm. So in that case, what happened was we transferred the money into the account of our solicitor, and she then basically brought the cheque with her for the balance on the property when she came to sign the deed with us. But in the case of the house, we already had our own bank account, so we wanted to sort of try to do that part of the process ourselves. So we had the money ready in our Portuguese bank account, which we have with Millennium BCP. If you're in the UK, you can actually open a Portuguese bank account with a Portuguese debit card in London. So you don't need to come to Portugal. You don't need a Portuguese address. All you need is you just make an appointment with Millennium BCP in London. Obviously take the documents that they need from you, which will be probably
Passport.
passport, I think the NIF number you need before you can open a bank account, but you need that to buy a property anyway. And then, yeah, so we've already done that in advance.
And the bonus with that is, if you don't speak good Portuguese, obviously they're living in London and they're able to open it for you fully in English and explain things to
Yeah.
you in English.
Yeah, you can do the whole process in English, or if you want to try Portuguese, then they're Portuguese.
She did it in
yeah,
Portuguese for us.
so with
didn't
us, she tried her best.
And when we looked
to work with
puzzled,
her.
she just switched to English.
Yeah, just explained in
Yeah.
English.
Very useful.
So yeah, they were very nice to deal with. And then your debit cards just arrived to your UK address. So yeah, it's nice and simple. So yeah, once we arrived, the money was already in the account, and the way we paid, you can pay via a bank transfer, which was an option that we had, or you can pay using a banker's cheque. Now, the only thing, having already done a largest transfer from the Portuguese bank account before for somebody else, it can be a little bit tricky. Like, you may have to speak to somebody at the bank and they won't always speak English. So I found it easier and a little bit, I don't know, reassuring to go down the cheque route, because that means that once you've obtained a cheque, it's basically, that's it. There's nothing really that can go wrong at that point, unless obviously you have insufficient funds in your account at some point later. But yeah, we opted...
It's a banker's cheque, so you can't have insufficient funds.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the second you go into the bank, they take the money out of your bank account.
Yeah. Like I said, it took a day or so, I would say, for the money to show as sort of locked. But yeah, we just went down the banker's cheque route. The way that works, and we went to a branch in Castelo Branco. We turned up at one branch, which is by the main square, but basically you have to go to a machine where you get a ticket, which then tells you which window to go to at the bank, and that person is then going to help you with whatever it is that you needed. But for withdrawals, which to me that's a withdrawal, banker's cheque, it basically said for larger amounts you had to go to a different branch, which is just down the road. If you're familiar with where the main Remax office is in Castelo Branco, then it's not far from there. And yeah, it's not that difficult to find, it's just on the corner. In fact, I'll stick a thing on the screen with the address. If you have a Millennium BCP bank, that's the branch you want to go to get the banker's cheque. So anyway, so we had to go from the smaller branch by the main square to the sort of slightly larger branch down the road. We took a ticket, waited our turn. It didn't take that long really, maybe waited 10 minutes, I would say, tops,
Yeah.
something
And
like
the
that.
bank doesn't open until 10 AM, which was quite surprising for me.
Yeah.
So no need to get there for 9, 10 AM, perfectly sufficient. It was quite quiet on a Monday.
It was Monday,
Monday.
yeah, but because we signed the deeds on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Did they close for lunch between 12 and 2 or something like that?
I can't remember.
No.
I can't
Neither
remember
can
if they do.
Maybe Google will tell you. But yeah,
Yeah.
just one thing to bear in mind whenever you're doing anything, this isn't just banking, just be mindful that the place is shut for 2 hours or so during the day for lunch. So that's why very often when you see on opening hours on the doors in the UK and pretty much a lot of other places in Europe, you're used to just seeing one opening hour and then sort of closing time. Whereas in Portugal, very often you'll have two sets. You'll have one for the morning and one for the afternoon, sort of before lunch and after lunch. So yeah, so we got there, took a ticket, waited for our turn, got to the window. The gentleman didn't really speak English, but I'm pretty sure there was another lady in the branch that did speak English. So I imagine if you didn't speak a word of Portuguese, you could probably still get by, but you may just have to end up dealing with like 2 people or so. And then obviously you start the process. It took surprisingly long to get a check. I mean, part of it was that we didn't have all the information to start off with, but the actual, even if we had everything, I imagine it would have taken the best part of 20 minutes.
Well, I think a lot of the waiting time was it needs 2 people to sign the cheque. So he signed the cheque, the guy we dealt with on the counter, and then he had to wait for somebody else to be available to sign the cheque as well.
I imagine a branch manager or somebody like
yeah,
that.
probably.
So, yeah, and on that as well, I suppose, seems obvious, but, and we're relatively switched on when it comes to money, but you need to know, 1, how much it is that you need the cheque for, but 2, you also need to know the name of the person. The cheque can only be in one person's name. It may well be the case that you may need multiple cheques for multiple people, but in our case, a rookie mistake, we turned up at the bank trying to get a cheque, and then he said, right, who do you want the cheque for? And we were like, you know what, actually we haven't thought of that, which sounds really stupid.
We knew obviously who we were buying the house from, because when you pay your deposit you get a piece of paperwork from
you get a contract.
Estate agent with the people's name that you're buying from. In this case it was 2 people, it was a couple, divorced. And we didn't know whose name to get the cheque in, so we had to wait around a little bit for somebody to confirm.
Yeah, the estate agent eventually replied to a WhatsApp message and confirmed that it was going to be the lady's name.
Yeah.
But I think then when we went to sign the deed, there was a little bit of commotion that it would have been better if we had 2 cheques for half and half.
Oh really? I didn't catch that.
Because generally, if you're a married couple in Portugal and you own the property or you buy a property together, you're entitled to 50% each. I think that's just a default thing, unless, obviously, I imagine there will be times when you can have a clause put in or something, you know, when you buy, a bit like in prenup or something in the UK. So yeah, that delayed us a little bit because we had to wait for a confirmation of which owner the cheque should be named to, but yeah, we got that sorted. All in, I think we were there for about an hour or so. But like I said, a lot of it was us just waiting for a confirmation of that name.
So the following day on Tuesday, we were signing the deed for the property. We went along to a solicitor's that's near to where our solicitor is. It's a bit weird. Didn't the first time we go to the noticias?
I can't remember, to be honest with you now, exactly where we went.
But this time we went to a solicitor's, which is just up the road. The process was fairly simple. We had the banker's cheque. We did run into a little bit of a delay when our solicitor discovered that David's taxes weren't paid up to date. For some reason mine were. Our solicitor has been taking care of this for us, so she'd obviously paid mine, and David's hadn't been paid for some reason.
So we had to, as part of, we then had to run out at the beginning of the process to the local Finanças office and pay the remaining tax, the outstanding tax, and the small fine. So the tax is basically the council tax or the property tax for owning this place. And that was £35 more or less for 2 years worth. So works out, what is it, £17.50 or something like that per year for a hectare and a half that we've got here. And on top of that, there was a small fine of, I think, €14 or something like that. So it's not, you're not talking huge amounts, but it just means that it just made the process a little bit longer on the day, and would have been more of a hassle if we didn't have somebody to guide us through the process of paying the bill on the day. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. So after that, we got back.
Well, we also wanted to point out that it's really important that you have a solicitor that speaks your language, because part of the process is you sit in an office with you and the buyer sitting opposite, the solicitor that's dealing with it and your own solicitor. and it's a legal document that's read out, and it's read out to the buyers. And then obviously, because we don't speak that fluent Portuguese, she reads it out to us in English, and she signs it as our translator and solicitor. So it is really important that you either have a translator present on the day, or you have a solicitor that speaks your native language. So that's really, really important.
One of the I don't think they would let you actually go through with the process if you didn't have somebody translating, or if they weren't confident that you knew what you were signing. One of the things that you've got to sign for is money laundering piece of paperwork, which seems a little bit silly because they essentially ask you to confirm that you've obtained the funds for the purchase in a legal manner, which is a bit silly because, like, if let's say you had a money laundering business, or you were doing drug dealing on the side,
but to be fair, in the UK you just sign a piece of paper that says you obtained your money legally, so it's no.
It's not exclusive to here.
No.
What is it?
Can't see anything.
Neither can I now. But
we're sat under the tree, surrounded by huge ants.
Yeah, it's just
and the occasional flying insect, grasshoppers and all sorts of things.
Yeah, but that's rural Portugal in the summer for you.
So try not to be afraid.
Yeah, if you don't like bugs, probably not the best place for you. I'm not too keen on bugs, but
we're getting better, aren't we?
I can put up with this level of bugginess. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So the same day we wanted to sort the water out.
Just to mention also the whole process of signing the deed, including the delay because of my unpaid taxes. I think that was about 2 hours, I would say. So
that's a long time.
You end up sitting in a room basically, staring at other people and smiling for quite a lot of it. But yeah, then after that, obviously you've got the keys, everything signed off over to you. You'll have a copy of your contract of sale, contract of purchase, essentially for the property, and make sure to keep that safe because you will need this when you go to sort out your utilities accounts, so your water and your electricity. So afterwards, we knew that the previous owners already mentioned or closed down the account. I suppose it's not strictly accurate, but probably tells you all you need to know really for the water. And you sort out your water with Câmara Municipal, and that is done at the Câmara local to the property that you bought. So obviously we signed the deeds in Castelo Branco, but the property belongs under the Penamacor municipality. So that's why to sort out water we then had to dash over to Penamacor from Castelo Branco to basically let them know that we are now the owners of the property and we would like to update the account for the water with our details. Because the way it works over here for utilities, at least the way I can see it, is the account is linked to the property, and when a new owner takes ownership, of the property, you then update the details on the account with your information, like your obviously name, address. Well, address is already on there because it's linked to the property, but your bank details obviously for paying. Both our electricity and water are set up with direct debit payments, so same as UK, nice and simple, should be in theory. Obviously we've not had the first payments come out yet, but hopefully that's all been set up the way it should be. Now with water, it's important that you get this set up as soon as possible because they are quite quick over here in removing meters, and that essentially takes a connection off.
If your meter's gone, you have no water. It's not like in the UK where they send you letters and say if you don't pay we're going to switch your water off. Here, and it happened to us, although the same day we signed the deeds we went straight over to Penamacor. We told them that we were the new owners of the property. we gave them direct debit for our water account. Everything was fine, it was all sorted. Do bear in mind that they do also close for lunch. So between 12 and 2 they're closed for lunch. So to give you an idea of timing, we signed our deeds at 11:30 in the morning. We got over to Penham Court just as they reopened at 2 o'clock.
Just a few minutes after 2.
So that was all done. We were aware that was all done. Now the following morning, David had come over to the Kinter for something. It's about, what, 10-15 minute walk, and our bicycles were here. I think you'd come to collect one of the bicycles. And I was at home, I'd just got out of the shower and I heard someone knocking at the door, and I thought, oh, it's probably just the neighbour again bringing us some more eggs or lettuce or something, because that's what they do. Anyway, David had got all of the house keys. We'd literally moved in the day before. So I opened the window to have a look. Now, David's Portuguese is very good, mine is not so good. And I've just come out of the shower, so I've got a towel on my head and a towel wrapped around me, to find this burly man stood at the door asking for the key to the water meter, which I didn't have because David had it. So I called David, and he luckily was on his way back with the bike. 5 minutes later he turned up, and the man wanted to take our meter away, didn't he?
He basically said that he had a notice from the camera to basically take the meter off. And I basically had to explain to him that no, the old owner has cancelled the water, but the day before we have also gone to the camera and we have updated the details for the water with our details, so it's all set up. You know, they've got our payment details. And I think what saved us a little bit was the fact that I could play a little bit dumb foreigner sort of thing. And because he was quite insistent that he had to take it off there and then. And then obviously all he would have to do is come back the following day or something to put it back in. But I wasn't forthcoming with the key. So, and in the end, because I did say to him, can you ring somebody to check whether the details have been updated? But he said he doesn't have a phone. So I even suggested he use my phone, and then he just like, oh, I don't know the phone number. He just didn't want to do it. So in the end, he agreed that he was going to check with his boss. So he drove off, and he was supposed to come back, and he never did. So obviously he checked, and they had a look, and they saw that basically our details were already on there, so nothing had to be done. But yeah, you just have to be mindful of that. If you don't, well, you might even be buying a property where the meter's already been taken off. Yeah, you want to get your water updated ASAP, because they will, if they haven't already at that point, they will quite quickly come to remove the meter and disconnect you. I think reconnecting probably would, again, take only a couple of days, but obviously it's summer. When we arrived the first few days, it was 41 degrees every single day for, I would say, 3-4 days at least.
And we were showering twice a day.
Yeah, you want water to be connected to your place, because otherwise it's going to be quite difficult. So yeah, for water, get it sorted ASAP, ideally on the same day. They will ask you for a proof of ownership of the place, that you're now the owner. So this is where the contract of purchase comes through.
Yeah,
you will
take
be
that with you.
Yeah, you'll be given a copy of that when you sign the deed. So make sure you've got that to hand, because
And he also wanted your ID as well, didn't he?
yeah, yeah, but that's quite standard, isn't it? I mean, theoretically, you're supposed to have a copy of your ID on you at all times in Portugal. That's my understanding of it. So theoretically, you should have it. In reality, obviously, you don't carry a passport everywhere you go. But yeah, ID and a copy of the contract from signing of the deed, you'll need that. Then for electricity, it's not done through the camera.
That you did online, didn't you?
Yeah. So
you started that process online.
So our solicitor suggested that we get a copy of, I don't think you necessarily need a copy of the last bill from the previous owner, but you certainly need, there's a CPT? CPE number, which is the reference number for your property. that they will need, or they won't necessarily need, but it's going to make the process a lot smoother.
It's probably the number linked to your meter, isn't it, on the property?
Yeah, probably something like that. So the previous owner basically sent across a copy of the bill to the estate agent. The estate agent then forwarded that to us like the following day, or in the evening that day even maybe. So we knew that they were with, is it Gold Energy? I think it's Gold Energy, something like that. So we went on their website, and I was advised that you can do the whole process online, but maybe I just selected the wrong option at some point, and the setup for me required a phone call. The first phone call was in Portuguese, and the line was horrendous, just breaking up constantly, and I just couldn't get anywhere with the lady I was speaking to. So eventually she just said that she's going to get somebody to call us back in English, and somebody called us back with perfect English, and we had it sorted within a few minutes. Again, for that, you will want a copy of the first and last page of the contract. That's the contract again for the purchase of the property. The first one shows that you've bought it from the previous owner, so it's got your details, it confirms that you bought the property. The last one's got the signatures. Well, realistically, all of the pages are signed by you anyway, but I think the sort of final proper signatures at the back, which is why you need to send them a copy of that. So the 2 pages had to go over to them. You can do that either via email or WhatsApp with Gold Energy. I think I just WhatsApped it to the guy whilst I was on the phone to him, and everything was sorted again within that simple phone call. I think the phone call, because we had some internet issues at the time, again took a little bit longer, but I think about 7 minutes all in, and we had the electricity account set up again with direct debit. The property already has a smart meter, which means that we don't need to worry about any electricity meter readings. I don't know how it's going to work for water, but I think you can see the meter, the face of it,
it's got a number
through the
on.
window in the meter
You can.
box thing. So hopefully they'll be able to just read that without, going into the box. Okay, so obviously once you've bought the property, you've signed everything over to yourself, signed the deed, you've got your water and electricity set up, you'll then want to, get yourself comfortable in there. In our case, we asked for the previous owners to, they asked basically whether we wanted to keep any of the furniture, anything that they had in the house. But we said no, we weren't interested in that. So they left our house fairly empty.
Completely empty.
Yeah, completely empty. One thing that surprised me a little bit was even some of the light fittings they took away. And basically the house just had wires sticking out of the walls. So not all of the rooms had basically a light at that point, and it was sort of late afternoon when we got to the house.
It was, yeah.
So obviously a lot of Portuguese houses, for good reason really, because of the sun, have relatively small windows, because obviously you don't want to heat the place up when it's 40 degrees out there all day, every day. So basically you can find yourself in a fairly dark place, especially in our case, downstairs, for example, in the kitchen. I mean, that's one place where they did leave the light fitting, but the only source of natural light there is through the door, and that obviously the windows in there aren't, that big. So yeah, just something to bear in mind. You might find yourself walking into a house that doesn't have any light fittings, and even if there is a light fitting,
the one that was still there was no bulb in.
Yeah, the bulb was taken out.
I mean, to be fair, the lights in the bathroom, the landing, the bathroom, the landing and the kitchen, they all worked, but neither of the bedrooms had lights.
Yes.
Which wasn't a big deal, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It meant we had a fairly urgent job on the next day.
Yeah, to sort out the lighting situation. In terms of other things that obviously you might need in a house, We wanted a fridge and a washing machine relatively soonish.
Yeah.
So we were able to get them relatively straightforward without too much hassle. We walked around the various shops in Castelo Branco. We ended up getting a fridge freezer from Wharton
in the Forum Centre.
Yeah, the Forum Shopping Centre. That's the one that's got a food court at the top.
Yeah.
You've got H&M.
So you can go for tea and pick up your washing machine all at the same time. Your fridge freezer.
There's a good ice cream parlour there.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got our fridge freezer there. We asked whether it can be taken away straight away or delivered, and they said they can deliver and it's included within the price, so you don't pay anything extra for the delivery, but you need a Portuguese phone number for them to deliver because they call you when they're on their way, and we haven't got a Portuguese phone number, so they said that they can't deliver in that case because they've got no means of calling us. Luckily, the car that we've got, which is a Skoda Octavia Estate, that thing's huge inside. So we didn't go for a full-size fridge freezer, we went one of those slightly smaller ones. So that just swallowed that fridge freezer perfectly. So the guy just wheeled it out of the shop into the car park for us. We put it in the car, shut the gate, drove it home, and then just sorted it ourselves. It was, I think we were the evening's entertainment for the neighbours for a couple of nights when we were arriving late at night with various white goods.
Every night we would turn up really late with a car full of boxes or white goods.
Yeah, and
so I think they think we were a bit dodgy.
And watching two people struggle with a fridge freezer and a washing machine is quite entertaining, I imagine, when you just sat there with your mates and trying to chill in the evening. So yeah, the washing machine we ended up getting from Auchan.
Yes.
Which is essentially a supermarket, your Tesco equivalent.
It's a hypermarket.
A hypermarket. And that one is based in a different shopping centre on the industrial zone, I think it is. It's in Castelo Branco anyway. I forgot what it's called as well.
But it's Auchan anyway, if you look for Auchan.
Yeah, look for Auchan in Castelo Branco, and you're looking for one, again, it's in a shopping centre, so you're looking for one that's sort of surrounded by other shops. It's a fairly large shop, and you can...
Again, they have all the white goods you could ever want.
They had a good selection actually, didn't they?
Yeah. And whereas our fridge freezer was still in a box, they'd got one on display and they'd got one in a box, so we took the one in the box. The washing machine, we took the display model.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, we were quite late being there, weren't we? It was 10:15 at night, shop closed at 10 o'clock. We could probably have ordered a brand new one and got it delivered if we had a Portuguese phone number, but
we weren't fussed.
We've only here for like 2 weeks in total from start to finish.
Yeah, on this particular
And that
trip.
includes travel either side, driving either side. So we, you know, if the delivery doesn't turn up on time, you know, we may not be here. So we just wanted to take it away really and know that we have it.
Yeah.
And I've been washing like a crazy woman ever since we got it.
Yeah, you were really enjoying your washing machine experience.
We had all new, because the bed's a lot bigger, we had all new bed linen, so everything needed washing, so.
Yeah, and because it's so hot and sweaty, all of your clothes just end up being drenched every single day in sweat.
Yeah.
So it's definitely nice to have somewhere to wash them and not have to go to a laundrette if you can help it.
Yeah.
The laundrette in Fundão was pretty good. We went to two, really.
Yeah.
So
and some supermarkets have a laundrette attached to them as well.
Yeah. So it's not like you're...
You don't need a washing machine.
You don't necessarily need a washing machine if you haven't got one. There are plenty of laundrettes around. Most of them are well, I think all of the ones that we've seen were self-service, which I imagine is quite common for them anyway.
My favourite homeware shop is Oma. Now, so we've been to 3 different Omas since we've been here this time. I thought the one in Lisboa would be larger. It turns out it wasn't particularly.
No,
I mean, maybe it was.
No.
It was a bit disorganised. It was a bit chaotic, let's say. They all have exactly the same items, but we went to Oma first because Lisboa is where IKEA is. There's an IKEA in Porto as well, but we'd never been to Lisboa, so that was where we headed. So we went to Oma first, picked up the bits and pieces we wanted there, and then we went to IKEA to get our bed, didn't we?
Yes.
So.
And then IKEA was the bed frames. You didn't really know whether they had them in stock or not, or
no, you
where
had
they
to
were.
ask. You had to ask
Yeah.
for all of the bed frames in IKEA.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's like any other IKEA around the world. You know, they're all exactly the same in how they're set up and where things are, and probably in the items. I think the bed sizes were slightly different here. There were two sizes, a 140,
140
and a
by
180.
200, 160
Oh, 160 by
160
200, yeah.
by 200. Funnily enough, they sell mattresses in bigger sizes. I think they go up to 180, but they
Right.
don't sell bed frames in that size.
Right. Yeah.
So
So we got a 160 by 200 bed, which was, you know, it's bigger than our double bed in the UK.
yeah, slightly,
And
yeah.
you need that really because it gets a little bit warm. However, our house did come with air conditioning, which doesn't work.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that, you know, we did have a bit of a debate on, didn't we, in the supermarket?
Yeah, whether we get a fan
Whether
or
we-
whether we get an air conditioning.
Yeah,
thing.
we were going to buy a fan for like £50, or there was an air conditioning unit for 280 euros, sorry. So we fought it out in the store and came home with an air conditioning unit, and I don't think either of us have
Yeah,
any
it's
regrets.
one of those portable ones that you just have a tube to stick out the window.
Yeah.
Um,
We do intend to get new air conditioning units fitted in the house, but
yeah.
for now we just needed something because for me, and this is why we have a farm and a house, a good night's sleep is really important. So,
Yeah, but also with the air conditioning, when you have the proper aircon machines fitted to the house, you probably, as we've sort of heard from obviously other people's experience, just because you have something scheduled for a particular day,
Yeah.
particular hour, doesn't mean that it's going to happen on that day and that hour. So we didn't want to risk having something booked and then things running over and essentially paying for aircon and then not
it.
being able to actually be here to let the guy in to actually fit it because it's, you know, you've had some delays.
Yeah. And again, you probably need a phone number, so.
Yeah, yeah. But the aircon, the portable aircon machine is going to come in handy on the farm when
Yeah.
we move here anyway.
It's a little bit noisy,
It is a little bit noisy,
but
but
I can sleep with the noise better than the hot temperature. So.
yeah, because yeah, it's quite difficult to sleep when it's 38, 36
Yeah,
degrees
at night.
at night. So, and considering that the barns are probably, well, they are bigger than a bedroom,
Yeah.
obviously, especially when you consider the height. But yeah, the portable aircon is definitely going to come in handy here as well when we move over.
Yeah. There's nothing better. We switch it on maybe an hour before bed, and there's nothing better than going upstairs to the bedroom and it's nice and cool.
Yeah, obviously you need to make sure that you close the door because it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a portable aircon machine's not really going to be able to cool down the house. I mean,
No.
you probably could get one that would, but it's going to be
The one we had.
it's going to be the
was-
size of a wardrobe, and
Yeah.
it's just not going to. It's going to defeat the whole point of it being portable when you need, you know, when it takes up so much space. Whereas ours is all in probably the size of a small beer fridge.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Like if you consider, obviously it's quite narrow, but like all in,
Yeah.
size of a small beer fridge thing.
So anyway, back to Oma, my new favourite store. We'd done Lisboa.
Yeah.
IKEA's IKEA. We found out that we still needed some more things the next day. We were in Castelo Branco. We've been to the store in Castelo Branco before, so we know what it's like. And we've also been to an Oma store in Fundão this week, and we can confirm that Castelo Branco has the best Oma
Yeah.
out of the three we have visited.
Yeah, definitely the
So,
best range. Well,
yeah.
like you
The
said, they
range
have
is the
more or less
same.
the same stuff, but it just felt
It's a bit bigger.
better.
And
Yeah,
just
slightly bigger, and it just felt like a better experience.
organised. Yeah.
The one in Fundau had bubble wrap flooring, basically.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were like, I don't know whether it was
Sticky.
lino, but whether they were like panels just stuck on that didn't like have come unstuck.
Yeah.
And you were walking along it, and it just literally
like
sounded
walking
like you were walking on bubble wrap.
Bubble wrap, yeah.
Which I imagine some people might want to go for just for that, really. But the car park's horrendous.
Yeah, it is. It's not
like,
big enough to fit our estate car in the space.
No, it was quite lucky that the parking space behind ours, across the sort of alleyway, you know, where you drive in a car park, was empty, because in order to get out of that space comfortably, I had to reverse into the space behind and then drive off.
Yeah, but the Castelo Branco one is good. We got most of our homeware stuff from there, most of our bed linen from there. Yeah, pretty much anything.
It's good. It's I wouldn't say it's high quality stuff by any means, but it's okay quality.
But kind of the beauty is in Portugal there is a lack of choice, which is, for me, is great, because otherwise I would be shopping all week. I'd be like, oh no, let's just go and look somewhere else first.
Yeah, you go to a lot of shops. There's in the same shopping centre where Auchan is, there's another homeware store there.
Yeah, well that was a cheap homeware store though, wasn't it?
It was, but I would say that the range there was very comparable to Oma and what you'd find in IKEA.
It just didn't have, it wasn't the same quality.
Yeah, but what I mean is, there wasn't, like you said, there's not really, if you go to Oma in Castelo Branco, you basically, that's basically what you have for choice. You can go to other shops where it's going to be very similar, very samey. So like you said, you don't have this thing, oh, let's go and see what they've got over there, see what they've got over there, because the range across the various shops is going to be very similar. One thing that I don't, because I cook every day, I do like a decent knife. And obviously I've got a couple of decent knives in the UK which are going to come over here, but on this particular trip obviously I haven't got any of those with me, and we went to a few shops. In the UK you can go to a supermarket and get a decent knife in the supermarket without too much trouble, I would say. It's not going to necessarily be a top of the range Japanese knife, but it's going to be good enough. Whereas over here I struggled. In fact, so far, I have not seen a good quality knife in any of the shops that we went to. Not one. And in Auchan, there were knives for like 70, 80 euros. And they all felt like they were just made out of recycled tins or something. It's just, they were all very light and very flimsy. So if you cook and you do like a decent knife, make sure that you bring one with you. That's one thing I would say, because like I said, all the shops we've been to over the last few weeks, I've looked in every single one of them for a decent knife, and none of them had a good knife. The one to the point where the knife that I just ended up buying because I just needed a knife, it's actually gone slightly rusty because it's not stainless steel. It's almost as if it's just regular metal, just chrome painted or something like that. So yeah, knives, good quality knives. I imagine you can get one ordered online and just have it delivered over here. But in terms of going out to a shop and just getting one there and then, I haven't seen one. It's just not there. I'm sure maybe Lisbon or Porto, they'll have slightly more, you know, upper market shops. Yeah. Maybe they'll have something, but I imagine you'll be paying over the odds, really. Like the knife that I use mainly at home, my grandma bought it for us. I mean, granted, that was probably about 14 years ago, or probably a little bit less than that. And that was like £15 knife, but you pick it up and you know that you've got something in your hand. You know, it's decent steel. Whereas over here, I've not seen anything like it in any of the shops.
Obviously, just don't put that knife in your hand luggage if you're flying, which brings us nicely on to getting here. So we're in the Castelo Branco region, which is just on the border with Spain. Now, we generally fly into Porto and hire a car, which was what we intended to do this time. We were going to fly into Porto, hire a car, get the keys, quick stop really, and go back home. However, when we looked at the prices, this is June 2025, it was going to be about £1,000 for us to do that, for 2 people to fly over and hire a car for 1 week.
That's to hire a decent sized estate car as well, not like the Fiat 500 like we had the other time. Because this time we knew that we needed something that can take a washing machine, take a fridge, a bed frame, and not struggle with it. So we couldn't have done with a tiny car this time.
No. So knowing that we are going to move here, hopefully soon, we just have to sell our own property in the UK. The last time we drove over last February, we knew it cost about £1,000 because we calculated it. You might have seen that in a previous video.
Yeah, if you have a look at that video, at the end of it, there's basically a list of all the costs.
A breakdown of the costs.
So you can see how much the tolls were, how much the fuel was. Yeah, all of that stuff's in there.
So with all that in mind, and the fact that we got things that we needed to bring over with us, we decided to drive again. And it's been a good call really, because it meant that when we got closer to the trip, we were able to extend our stay by another week. Accommodation didn't cost us any more because we now own the house. The car hire didn't cost us any more because we bought our own car. And all we needed to do, I think we paid £20 to change the return
Eurotunnel.
on Eurotunnel.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind, always take a look at the difference. And then we're driving basically from Manchester in the UK. So always look at the difference between driving and flying, because they can work out about the same.
Obviously you also have the option of taking a ferry, but the ferry would have been, again, pretty much the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But I get seasick, so I'm not very keen on paying to be seasick for a night.
No, I mean, granted, the ferry from, is it Portsmouth to Bilbao? That was astronomical cost. I think that's an overnight ferry. So it shortens your journey time, because then you don't have to drive all the way through France. Driving through France takes about 12 hours, maybe. We smashed that in a day, didn't we, France?
Yeah, but basically you're looking for the whole journey from sort of around Manchester down to where we are around Penamacor. You're looking at about 24 hours. I mean, we drive ever so slightly below the speed limit because I'm a bit stingy.
More fuel efficient.
More fuel efficient. But yeah, you're looking at over 20 hours of driving, whichever way you do it, really. Obviously, with a ferry, you can take the overnight ferry, and that, well, depending where you are in Portugal, you can either take it to Bilbao or Santander.
We drive pretty much past Bilbao, don't we?
Yeah, well, we almost went into it by mistake when we
couldn't get out of.
Yeah, when we were getting lost in that sort of mountainous region around northern Spain, southern France bit. Yeah, the roads can be a little bit confusing. We went through the same toll booth like 3 times.
We did.
And
the man was laughing at us at the end.
Yeah, because you couldn't pay on that particular one. On the vast majority of them, you can just pay with a debit card.
And you don't have to see a person. This one was a little man in the booth.
He wasn't very happy. Well, he just didn't want to take our card. Well, he tried our card, but it refused him. Even though it's the Portuguese card, with obviously euros in the account, it didn't like it, so we had to pay cash, but we had cash, so that wasn't too much of an issue. But yeah, we ended up seeing that guy like 3 times going through the same toll booth in the same direction, trying to get out of this little town.
That's all we've got up to. A little bit more work on the farm. The main work on here right now is keeping the houses free of
Well, we're
growth.
just trying to maintain it on at the moment.
We didn't do any proper work on anything. Like I say, it's 35, 40 degrees heat here.
Yeah, when people say you can't work in this heat, you sort of, when you're in the UK and it's barely 20 degrees in the summer and you're in your living room, like, yeah, I could do that. It's like, that's easy, it's nice weather over there. It's like and then you try to just walk in 38-degree
To be fair,
heat.
it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. We've not been great at getting out of bed,
Yeah, no, we haven't.
but we're on holiday
Ish,
technically.
yeah.
So we have been starting about 11 o'clock in the morning, which is not the time to start
No.
work in Portugal.
We were basically getting out of the house
when
as
everyone's coming back
everybody's
for lunch.
coming back for lunch. Like, oh, have you had your lunch yet? It's like, well, I don't know. I had breakfast about 15 minutes ago. So does that count?
We'll get better.
But yeah. So yeah, we did some clearing around the land a little bit. The lower barn gets overgrown with brambles. There's a olive tree that I cleared from brambles, well, last year.
Last February.
It just looks exactly the same as it did before I cleared it. But when we move over, we're gonna get a strimmer, and that's gonna make all of this a lot simpler with the brambles. Which, on the subject, there's gonna be an announcement coming up, hopefully in the next few months again. We don't know when exactly, because the time frames aren't entirely dependent on us. Well, if they were dependent, we'd be making an announcement in the next week or so. But yeah, there's stuff happening. And there will be some big changes coming. So just make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss that. And so I think that's going to be it for this video. We're going to get back to clearing some more brambles. We've got to hit the road back to the UK tomorrow. So that's going to be a lot of driving, and as much as we're not overly happy about the constant, relentless heat, we're now at the point where 33 degrees feels actually quite cool. I think you can get used to it quite relatively quickly. Less than 2 weeks, 30 odd, like I said, 30 odd degrees feels just fine, as opposed to absolutely roasting hot. So yeah. Anyway, we'll see you in another one. Subscribe, like, send it to your grandma or something, I don't know. See ya.
Oh, also if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments.
Yeah, you can do that.
We'll do our best to answer them.
We tend to answer questions.
Well, David will answer them. I don't answer them.